Gentlemen, I'd like to call our meeting to order for December 13th, 2003. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. You take roll, Mayor?
Bernie? Here. Patrick?
Yep.
Kitzinger?
Here.
Job? Here. Swacky here.
Set them in the agenda. We're going to move
No, we're going to add
the swearing of Patrick
Martindale
to the agenda to be sworn in
under public comment.
under public comments.
Perfect.
Are there any?
I would like to remove the bills from the agenda, from the consent agenda. Are we there yet?
No, once we get to there.
Okay,
I'd say.
cool.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as amended. Support.
Okay. Well, the consent agenda is public comments, please.
Do we have to vote on the?
Yeah, we have to
approve
vote
the
on
agenda?
Oh, on the
approving the
agenda.
agenda.
There's been a motion,
Is there a-
second.
A motion
Okay.
and a second, yeah.
Approve the agenda as amended.
Aye.
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 Thank you. Public comments, please. Hearing none? No one else wants to go? Oh, please.
Good evening, everyone. Kevin Grand, Meta resident. I realize I thought this was an agenda item. I understand this is now correspondence, but I still want to touch base on it. And this has to regard to the trailhead at the south end of the village, the Macomb Orchard Trail. Supervisor Patrick, I understand that you're supportive of this. I was kind of hoping the rest of the board would be supportive of this as well. And my reasons are pretty much as follows. Reason number one would obviously be safety. The problem right now that you have with the Macomb Orchard Trail is you have too many bicyclists. If they want to go into town, they're going by the April Millsap Memorial, and there is no sidewalk there. And unfortunately, they're getting too close to the road. And as you know, North Avenue has a lot of heavy truck traffic. And I've seen more than a few bicyclists almost be hit by heavy truck traffic just because they travel too close to the road. So that'll be my first reason to support it. The second reason would actually be economical, because given the fact that North Avenue, the sidewalk doesn't go all the way up to Armada Center, it breaks off just south of Armada Center there by the creek. It would be more beneficial to route all the traffic on Church Street and Birch Street, because there you have sidewalks that go all the way straight through, which leads me to my second point, is more economic. Because if you're routing people that are going through town, through the village area there, you have a lot of local restaurants and businesses, artisans, bakeries, things of that nature, so that gets to expose out-of-towners to what Armada has to offer. And if they want to continue north, they can go up, they can see the Freewald Memorial at the Memorial Park. If they want to go to the Ambets, they can go see the tank out in front of the Ambets Hall. So it just gives them something to see in town. And for reasons that I just mentioned, I would hope that this board would consider signing off on supporting that trailhead expansion. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin.
Are there any other public comments? We'll move to the consent agenda. You wanted the bills?
No.
Oh,
The swearing.
oh, I'm sorry.
You want to step up your bit? Constitution of the United States partisan control,
free from partisan control,
and I will fulfill the responsibilities of
and I will fulfill the responsibility of
Armada Township firefighter paramedic
firefighter, paramedic,
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Thank you, Patrick. Welcome aboard. Congratulations.
Three things.
Okay, now we'll move to the consent agenda, and you want the bills pulled?
Yep, I want bills pulled.
Should we mention there's no obligation to stay if they don't feel?
Yeah,
Yep.
You're certainly welcome to stay, but don't feel obligated to stay through the meeting here.
I know.
I just don't want them to feel pressure.
So you're pulling all the bills, Monica, or just a
No,
specific one?
I just want to pull the bills, I want the attorney bills pulled,
Just pull the attorney bills?
yeah.
Oh, I didn't even.
okay.
Okay,
Yeah, go ahead.
okay, so, I see that more than one board member are contacting the township attorney on the same issue. Last month, it was $210 worth. This month, it's $120. So I want it clear. And then, John, you sent an email asking if she had had any communication with the clerk or anyone else, and if so, please send it to you. What I would like is, and I've asked this before, anytime any board member contacts the township attorney, that we get a written correspondence, what was it about, so that the entire board is notified of what was discussed and why, so that we are not calling her 2 and 3 and 4 times on the same thing.
Okay, that email was in response to the fact that we received an email, and I was unaware that the attorneys answered another email we didn't have prior to the consideration for land division. So I wanted to know if there were any other emails that I wasn't aware of, so that I could use that information to make our decision based on the $4,000 request for land division.
That's why I would like any time any board member talks to the attorney, I don't care who it is.
You even asked at the meeting did we get an attorney's opinion?
Right.
There was one, but we didn't have it. It wasn't in our packet.
Yeah, I didn't have,
It was asked by the assessor.
I don't think she's just using that as one example.
is one example.
Well, I understand
But
that,
even the
but
fire
that's what-
chief,
That's why I sent her an
meeting.
email and said,
Sure.
are there any other emails?
this
can
is
we
why
re-
it's so important that anytime any board member talks to the attorney about anything, we need a written response, and it needs to go to every single board member, so that Jim's not calling, I'm not calling, you're not calling, Mary and Sarah, we're all not calling on the same thing.
Is
We
there any
have it,
issue
we
with-
get it.
With the attorneys responding to whoever contacted them and CCing the rest of the board? I mean, can we request the attorneys do that?
They usually
They
copy
usually
Mary and I,
Yeah,
but I didn't get copied on that email that was,
yeah, Tom just gave it to me.
Right.
So,
so I
I
didn't
mean,
know the email even existed.
I don't see any issue with if you could notify the attorney that we would like, just for, it'll save us money, really, and for us to all be informed, if they could,
Right, and Tom was the one that asked the question.
yeah, I get that,
So-
Tom, that would be hard in that case, but certainly we could ask Tom to make sure he copies somebody, copies the clerk or the supervisor when he sends an email to the attorney, but we'd like the attorney to respond to the entire board. I don't see any issue with that. I mean, I'm not here every day, so I wouldn't be aware of correspondence unless it's given to me, through email or in the packet.
It's being fiscally responsible. This has been going on for years. This has been happening years and years and years and years ago. That's why I said when I was supervisor, I had a binder. Anytime I got anything, and I had everything in writing. And then I created a binder so that we weren't following up 3 years later, asking them the same thing. It's an issue that's already been addressed. It is just fiscally responsible to all of the taxpayers. That's all I'm asking.
All right. Are there any other questions about the bills?
No.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda items as presented.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Planning. PDR. Senior Center. And treasurers. Okay. We'll move on to correspondence and information. Village of Armada.
Yep. I got a letter, Becky emailed me a letter from the village in November, and she said to put it in the board packets. So I did the board packets last week, and then I gave Kylie a copy too. And, the email, this letter got out of hand, which it shouldn't have.
She got this on Monday, Kylie did.
Yeah.
On the 11th, it was actually made out on the 16th of November.
I know that, and that's what I
Okay.
told her today. I said, I got the email from Becky in November to put it in the board packets. I wasn't gonna distribute it until the board meeting, but then I thought I'd give it to Kylie on Monday since I already made her packets. But anyways, the only thing that they're asking for is that anyone who comes in here who purchases a house in the village, they have the property transfer of affidavit. We always stamp it, make a copy and give it to them, and tell them that they need to go file this with the village office. I don't know if they go to the village office sometimes or not.
No.
It's
They,
just-
No.
they don't
And
actually
they-
need to file
It's
it.
just a reminder.
The
They're not
village
yelling
has- no,
at
but the village
anybody.
has told Kylie and Tom that they don't want that paperwork.
It's,
Either way.
the
there's-
property
go
tran,
over it
the
years.
property transfer
way,
affidavit
there's-
is directed to the assessor because he uncaps the property
I know that, I'm just
and he
saying.
does the taxes. We don't do the gas company and we
Yeah,
don't
it
do the
sounds like-
electric
I'm just
company.
saying that the people who move to the village, when they have their transfer, they need to go to the village office, say, hey, I moved in, so their water bills are put in their name. If they go, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
Except
just
the,
another
except
reassurance
this
that we
letter,
remind employees and everybody to.
this
take
letter
it over.
does say that this often results in late fees and water shut-offs. And I spoke with Water Commissioner Belke, who's unaware of this letter, and has no late fees or shut-offs that he's aware of because of this. So,
Well, Becky says that they do have them, and they,
well,
They have them, they
well,
make-
the water commissioner is the guy that sits on top of them. Somebody would have to tell me whose water was shut off because they didn't
you
turn in a
can't tell
property
them whose
transfer
water was shut
affidavit.
off. That's personal business. You can't-
That's what the problem was.
I'm just
Certainly,
saying,
it's not the
that- that's-
township's
I'm just saying,
responsibility
The letter
to,
needs to go,
but that
people
doesn't
need to
mean
go
we
to the
can't
village. Just
attempt
don't make a
to
mountain out of a molehill.
help them.
Well, like I said, and I did hear that the village has told the assessor's office they don't want that paperwork for the last 40 years that.
They
Tom's
send them over
been
here with it when they go there with it because they think they have to take it there. They don't have an assessor.
The reality is, I think they're just looking for, it appears to me they're looking for a double check to,
That's it,
if
that's all. it is.
somebody,
It's just communication.
communication.
Communicating
So I would
to
say
the people
do-
that move in, communicating.
That's
You
all
know,
it
there's
is.
the village, there's the township.
yeah.
Yeah,
You
We
live
should
in the
certainly do our
village,
best
getting your
to
water bills.
remind them that they
Yeah.
need to do that if they haven't already. Most times
Yeah.
the realtor will tell them to do that
Right, and
too,
the
yeah.
realtors, or maybe the realtor might not, but it's just a reminder. That's
And the
all it
title
is.
company just says, take it to the assessor.
Yeah.
After all the bills are paid, they pay all the bills and all the taxes and everything are squared up and here's your property transfer affidavit and you have X amount of time to get it to the assessor. The 2024 transfer site schedule was switched to the second and fourth Sunday again, to avoid 4 holidays. They would have to switch the days on 4 different times of the year, so it's easier just to go back. We are having, GFL, make a banner up that will hang on the gate, plus it's been posted, publicly. But it will be now for the 2024, second and fourth Sunday, or Saturday, excuse me, of each month from 9 to 1.
And Dawn put it on the website, and I'm gonna publish it in the record too.
Okay. Village of Armada Orchard Trail. The village, it's actually the Macomb Orchard Trail. The objective really is to provide a safe bike walking route that will benefit all trail users. The village and the township connection will also point trail users towards the business parks and other offices of both municipalities. I had an informative and beneficial discussion with Ross Belkey, a trustee of the Village of Armada Council, about the possible joint venture regarding the Orchard Trail crossing. An informal meeting was also held on November 29th at the Township Hall. I also listed this as one of the topics I wish to discuss further with SEMCOG during my initial meeting and orientation. The concern is safety for the trail users, with a possible solution of putting trail connections at the Church Street. The Village of Armada owns this road. The village has been approved for an easement, which Ross Belkey gave me a copy of, with Macomb County to build a trail connection about an eighth of a mile east at the side street. North Avenue Trail crossing has been noted to be dangerous at times due to heavy traffic and the activity of a business, and the businesses all located in the same area. Advantages are collaborative. Efforts between municipalities are favorable, considering in parks and recs for application grants as well as other funding opportunities. Ross has had ongoing communications with SEMCOG regarding the project and has also been working on the other project details as well. He will provide us with information that he has so far for discussion. SEMCOG has scheduled a meeting with Ross and myself, which will take place December 15th. Attending will be the planner from SEMCOG, who will discuss options, funding, and will also do a field visit to the potential site for the connection. And I will update the board once we get that meeting.
Okay,
This
John,
is-
I'm the delegate for SEMCOG, and I knew nothing about this. You're the alternate. I would have liked to have been notified of this.
Oh, Ross actually set it up.
Ross thought, I understand, but
I think he's the delegate from the village.
he's the delegate, Michelle's the alternate. But
Okay.
you're the alternate, and I'm the delegate.
Right.
So,
Well, when we went to the membership meeting, you weren't there, so Ross and I
yeah, and I
talked
was
about
out
it.
of town.
Ross and I talked about it
Yeah.
at the table there, right?
Right.
So they put me in touch, and then I had my orientation, and she gave me the emails. So I sent the emails out, so.
Okay, but now I need to be, because like I said, I'm the delegate and you're the alternate.
Okay.
So I need to be informed about what you're doing.
I gave you this last week?
Yeah.
So you were updated?
I just found, yeah, and I
Okay.
talked to Ross today, and he's gonna keep me informed,
Yep.
so.
Right.
But I didn't know anything about it, and, you know.
Yeah,
I
certainly
don't
it's
know.
important to communicate.
Yep.
Well, that's why.
But this, this is really just trying to connect,
The trail
just,
The trail,
I
right.
mean,
to
the,
Depot Street.
yeah, it's very close already, right? So,
Mhm.
but this is just, they needed to get an easement apparently
They
for
have an
that?
easement.
They have an easement.
Which they have.
Ross already said.
Is there anything that they're
Ross
gonna
said they're-
expect from the township
They
at
want us
some
to
point?
pay for that section.
They want the township to pay for it?
Well, Ross threw a figure around about $40,000, and I wasn't exactly sure what we were
For the,
doing for 40,000. So
yeah,
that's why I said we had to talk to SEMCOG and find out, because SEMCOG does have grants for this.
Yep.
But what do we have to give SEMCOG to apply for grant? Do we need an engineered drawing? Does it have to be shovel-ready? You know, so that's why he's coming out Friday. They also want to talk about putting those bump outs back. They had poured bump outs at one time,
Right, they took out.
and they had them take them out, because Trail
on
Commission.
North Avenue?
Yeah, they had bump outs on both sides of the trail, but they had them take them out because they didn't call the village before they put them in. So now they're considering putting the bump outs back in there to kind of pinch down traffic at the cross point for the trail.
Well, this is just like information, so
Yeah, I
they're gonna
just
have a
wondered
meeting,
why,
and then
yeah.
we'll bring it
That's
back
all.
and just see
But
what's
it's
gonna
an
go
update.
on, because
Yeah.
there's nothing to vote on.
Thank you.
Yep.
And then the Latham Development, at the Planning Commission meeting, there was a request for a development on Latham Drive. Chris Martin and I attended a meeting with the owners of the property, their engineers. So I went to and attended a meeting with Giovanni Lafata and Sal Parisi of Lafata, owner of Latham Development, the representatives from Murrow Engineering, to discuss their need to bring water down Powell Road to service future buildings on the recently approved site plan. I did provide a brief history of the steps that we have taken and the costs incurred by the township to bring water across Powell Road to 33 and follow the easement that have already been obtained, and the engineering plan that was completed by Spalding to Decker for both water and sewer and paid for by the township, which is still viable. He also shared, Bruce Township was ready to, again, partner with Latham and supply him the water from Detroit Water. The benefit of having city water will include the elimination of annual water testing for potability, as well as the requirement of having ponds and pumping stations to be maintained for fire suppression, which is a significant annual cost to each property. The discussion included two possible alternatives to getting the pipe down the road. The first option would be to have the township petition all parcels between the current endpoint and the Latham site to the special assessment district in place to pay for the pipe over some number of years. There's no guarantee that the petition would succeed in getting approved from 51% of the impacted properties. The second option would be for LaFata to contract to have the pipe laid at their cost and have neighboring properties reimburse them directly when the properties tap into the pipe. The township would not be involved in the financial aspect of this alternative, other than to potentially pay for the fire hydrants that are included in the engineering plan. At this time, Mr. LaFata agrees to the concept, to both alternatives, but wishes to discuss the risks and how reimbursement plan would be laid out with his attorney. The next step included LaFata getting bids on the work to get the current project costs for the portion of the pipe, which is it's really about
Do you know how many feet?
0.3 miles.
Oh, okay.
We're estimating about $300 a foot, somewhere in the $630,000 range. And the next meeting
Less than
will be
that.
determined once the costs are received. So that was just, again, an informational meeting. The LaFata project, or the Latham project, is contingent on having water for fire suppression, things like that. That was one of the stipulations the engineers mentioned, and their engineers significantly interested in getting water in there to run them, because they'll have 10 buildings eventually.
Okay, and one of the things that I want to know, like, where are the costs? Like, how do we know how much that costs? Because I've heard 310,000, 600,000.
Sounds like
that
he's
in.
getting
So-
bids so that he'd know what that cost would be.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
matter of
we've
fact,
already
he's using-
we've already
have an estimate.
invested. We've
Yeah.
already invested. That's what I want to know. How much money have we
Oh,
already
gotcha.
invested in the township?
$600,000.
So, I would love a copy of all of the bills and all of that.
Well, we have the bill for the,
I have a whole binder.
yeah.
Do you? Perfect.
Yep.
I'm gonna come in, because I wanna see that, because it's like,
And that was the
It
other
just
thing to
seems like
try
a
to help with
lot.
the cost of the project for them, was to take them the engineering we already paid for, so they wouldn't have to re-engineer,
Mhm.
and that would save a considerable amount of money off the cost of the project. Our engineers would still have to do project construction engineering or oversight, but Mr. LaFata is talking to Piper Sack, who was the company that stood ready to install the work in the first place, because they have a relationship with that particular company. So he's talking to them based on our engineering, what it would cost. And our thought is, because it is a public pipe, if we put fire hydrants down there, one, will have access to water for our fire trucks on the west side without coming back to the village. Two, it lowers the ISO ratings for the businesses along Paul Road.
right.
You certainly need fire hydrant.
Right. What was my question? Well, why did the planning commission meeting get canceled last week? I was trying to get on.
It wasn't posted properly.
Oh, okay. I wasn't feeling good, so I couldn't come, but I was still trying to get on. All right, and then, how could it not be posted fully?
Well, she didn't put it in the box out front. It was posted and put in the paper and put on the website,
It was
but
just on the
she didn't
website,
hang a
yeah,
paper in the front
Oh,
window.
okay. And then I had something else on this. Didn't write it down, so it's gone.
Procedures for ordinance enforcement and the blight ordinance are kind of one and the same. This is what we have for board's consideration. I know, Jim, you gave us some feedback or whatnot, that you're the only one we got anything from,
Oh.
per se. So,
So I know we discussed at the last meeting possibly having maybe a workshop to go through those ordinances potentially
Well,
versus,
you had talked about getting this done again and just going through it, like, right, the workshop and then just eliminating and
I mean,
redoing it.
as the
Redlining.
supervisor said, I did
Redlining.
provide
Well, this
my,
one is
my
redlined,
initial
but-
comments.
Yes.
But I think as a board, we have to either discuss, that addition or the board provide comments individually and, as a working document through email and then bring it back, but.
And how would that code enforcer, is it gonna be the same? They're gonna enforce a regulatory ordinance the same as the zoning ordinance?
Yes,
'Cause
it would,
blight
it would be in the
is
same.
regulatory.
It would go through the, yes, it would go
Okay.
through the same process. But it's probably not ready for any action, but that's what we have.
Yeah, I would like us to go through it. And do the budget workshops, they're coming up. Take a little bit of time
Yeah,
to
that's,
go.
actually, that's a good idea. Potentially, we can add it to a budget workshop as
Mhm.
to discuss this too, yeah.
And then bring it to a full board meeting.
Did everybody get their, print on 4 Grand Farms?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And once I received the email correspondence, from,
The attorney?
the
Anderson?
attorney, right, we have, really, we're not allowed to kind of send them to the ZBA, actually.
Right.
It's something that the township does. This is the, Article 11 variance, from our ordinance, just a copy
We
of it,
have it.
in case for your reviews.
Already have all that.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Okay, well, now you have
John
another
gave-
one.
yeah,
Just take
John-
it, be happy.
Yeah, okay.
We spoke with, Bob, when he was here with his original request, for a variance. What Bob did was have his site plan altered, making the setback on the barn for the property that's being separated 15 feet, so I'm gonna call it parcel A, is in compliance with the land division. Parcel B, is ultimately ending up 13 feet, and so the variance request is about 11 and a half feet, and it's supposed to be 25. He's already removing the shed on the side and the barn in the middle to provide, clear passage between the two. So that's that's what he has here. So this particular land division ordinance variance request application will need to be modified. I have a, let me find it. My motion, I typed up a motion, so because it has to be,
Specific.
recorded
Mhm.
in the minutes, and I wanted it to be verbatim. I know I brought it in with this. I have it in the stack anyway. I hope I didn't, put it in with the correspondence.
Well, while you're finding it, I had just a few kind of comments. So obviously, this came to the board last month. I think we're a little unsure on, our role in this process. And since then, the attorneys provided some clarification that it really is our responsibility. So they want to split the parcel, asking for a variance based on the interest in kind of preserving the home, yet being able to use the rest of the property for a farming operation. He obviously is looking to sell off the home parcel. This area is all zoned agricultural. The variance is not change in use. In this case, it's not requesting to build a new structure too close to the property line. This is an existing structure that if this parcel were sold, clearly the buyer, the purchaser would be be made aware, is aware that that structure's there and that it's closer to the property line than the ordinance, would have the ability to decide if that was acceptable to them or not, you know, if they were looking to make a purchase, so.
This motion will cover all of that, and it'll be a matter of record that way.
Okay, do you wanna make the motion first then, and then we'll have some discussion?
Okay, is that gonna also include the hardship? Because in here, like the Article 11, undue hardship or
Yes.
practical difficulty, it
Absolutely.
will? Okay,
Yep.
cool.
Well, actually, that is in the, that has
It's
to be supplied by the petitioner, not by the board.
So how about you make the motion, and then we'll discuss it.
Request variance application will be a part of the record. That explains what he's trying to do.
Well, we
You-
need to
wait a minute, you have
determine if
something
it's a
else?
practical difficulty
Right.
there.
Okay, a motion by Patter to approve the request for variance on parcel ID 13-02-25-300-16, commonly known as 23625 Mile Road, presented as property B. Owner provided an updated site plan for review that brings property A, as named in its drawing, into compliance with the proper setback of 15 feet. The variance request is only for property B, which will have a 13.5 foot setback, which is an 11.5 foot variance to keep the Gambrel barn, which is being used for farming activities with no change in the use. Land division ordinance variance request application will need to be updated by the applicant with the proper acreage and the change from 2 affected properties to only 1 affected property to be included in the record of the minutes.
I'll support for discussion purposes.
So what does the applicant list as the practical difficulty as far as just allow us to
Well,
evaluate?
again, there are such special circumstances or conditions affecting the property that the strict application of the provisions of this ordinance would clearly be impracticable or unreasonable. In such cases, the subdivider shall identify for the township board in writing the specific provisions or requirements involved in the variance request. Further, the subdivider shall clearly present to the township board in writing the special circumstances or conditions affecting the property and render compliance with the ordinance to be impractical or unreasonable. Applicant's answer is the setback ordinance requirement, 25 feet for the agricultural barn, 15 feet for the residential barn, and he only has 28 feet, 8 inches between the 2 buildings. So the impractical difficulty there is you're either gonna have to make one of them in compliance or the other one in compliance, or you're either not gonna be able to split the property because you can't sell the house then, or you gotta tear down the Gamble barn. It was $150,000 barn, it's a big barn. So that's a hardship if he has to tear a barn down because it's an 11.5 feet variance. The granting of the specified variance will not be detrimental to the public welfare or injures to other properties in the area in which property is situated. The applicant's answer is, now there's only one affected property parcel A, which will have to change the acreage on, and parcel B with the Gambrel barn. So he bought a 133 acre parcel, and he's splitting 3 acres off of it, so it'll be 130 acres. So these need to be updated to the proper property sizes. The variance would not diminish the property value. The barns were existing. When you talk about granting a variance, like through the ZBA, that's something that somebody's gonna build something. They bought a piece of property, and to get it to fit, they ask for variances so they can get the building to fit. These are existing buildings. That creates the hardship. We have 2 buildings, he's already removing 2 barns between them in order to make, there's 25 feet between them, which is a assured safe distance, but he's gonna need a variance. Otherwise, the Gambrel barn would have to be tore down, and it's just not practical. It's not practical. And has anybody been to the barn?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a serious, big Gambrel barn. It's not now the variance will not violate the provisions of the Land Division Act. It meets all other requirements for the division. It has the proper acreage, the minimum size, proper frontage, width, and uniform depth. And by saying that, it is farming. It's not gonna change, the traffic flow doesn't change. none of that's affected, because it does mention up in the above, you know, how does it affect the actual area? It doesn't change anything. It's, you know, farming, it's farming, and stays farming, it's a residential home, and it's gonna stay a residential home.
What happens when he sells it?
It's a residential home.
No, I'm talking about when he quits farming.
When he quits
Is
farming,
that
he
gonna
can,
affect?
that's
So that,
up to the property owner.
that structure, this variance is tied specifically to that structure. So
Yes.
if in the future that structure became unrepairable and were to be demolished, the property owner at that time would not be allowed to build without coming in for a variance request, would not be allowed to build a structure that close to the property
For
line.
instance, if it burned, yes, he'd have to build it with proper setbacks.
Yeah, okay.
This is only because they're existing buildings.
So I do, after considering this for a month, looking at the parcel, the intention of the property and the use, well, to me, it's often hard to identify a practical difficulty, but I would say, being that these structures were constructed on a large parcel, and the applicant is looking to maintain the integrity of the, the property could be split smaller to not have any structures on it, just have the home, for example, but it would not, the way the home's built, it would be detrimental to the property and to the
He's selling the
neighborhood,
home,
in
he's
my
selling the home
opinion.
with an outbuilding.
Yeah, and then, now I'd also looked, could you make the parcel bigger to encompass this structure? Obviously, in the intention of using it for farming, that's a valuable structure, and so
And then
I get that.
And then there's D. The variance will not have the effect of nullifying the interest and purpose of this ordinance, the master plan of the township, or the comprehensive development plan of the township. That property is zoned ag residential, it continues to be ag residential, and when somebody else buys it and wants to change it, they would have to have zoning change, they can do whatever they want with it, provided it's legal and they get the proper permits.
Again, I think with this, the
He
spirit
says
of
in here, the proposed split is to allow the highest and best use of both parcels. This hardship is not a result of 4 Grand Farms' own actions, so they didn't put up the barn in error. It's existing property.
Well, you
They bought the property.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, of
You
course
you
they
actually,
bought the
you actually
property.
can't use, it's not his actions, but it's a property owner's actions, so you really can't use that as a cause for hardship because somebody else
It's the
built it.
property owner's responsibility to ask for a variance because of it.
Yeah, what I'm
That's what he's
saying is
doing.
it's not, all I'm trying to say is that it doesn't, the hardship, you can't say because a previous homeowner built a structure wrong makes it a hardship. That's not really true. If the ordinance changed or the
But if
the
he's not gonna
setbacks
live,
change,
but if
that
he's not
may
gonna
be.
live in the house and he has to have the house there, it's kind of a hardship. You can't sell it. Or if he does sell it, he has to tear the barn down. That's a hardship, either way.
I'm not saying I don't support this. What I'm getting at is there are different ways he could split it if we were looking to hold strict compliance to it. However, it is also my opinion, I think I agree with you, which is that if this is one structure, if that structure is removed and replaced, it will have to be constructed in a proper setback. If the parcel is sold, the purchaser will know that structure is there currently. You're not building it, requesting it to be built right next to a existing homeowner, and then that would impact their use of the property. They would see that, and it is a large farmable parcel, and given our master plan and
And it's not
keeping with
detrimental to
agriculture.
surrounding,
I don't
It's for
believe,
farming, right?
no adjacent property owners have come in complaining.
No.
At the last meeting I did,
yeah.
from a aesthetic standpoint, ask about why the awkward jog, but when looking at the elevations and grades, it kind of would actually kind of wreck the character if we were to require him to relocate the driveway. It'd be kind of steep
Well,
coming
we're
up and-
asking him to move the well too.
Yeah, so,
so-
well, he is
They didn't
planning to
move the well,
drill
though.
another
He
well
has
anyway.
to move the well.
Uh,
He gets this.
Well, I don't
No.
know if
He
there's
doesn't
a,
have to move as well, John.
no,
I
I don't,
He won't have to move his well like
he's-
this.
he said he
But if we
intends
squared it
to,
off, he said he would,
Oh.
he could move the well.
Oh,
he said he
could move, yeah,
intends
but
to
he really
drill
didn't have to.
another well
Yeah.
for his parcel anyway, so whether it
Yeah.
was on one or the other.
Yep, so
I
that-
was bringing that up to say, it's nice to see a square parcel, but if you look, there's one that looks like an airplane around that tower, clearly a square or a symmetrical parcels. That's not critical at this point.
And
so.
this, parcel is also, concurrent with the property he owns north of that, because he pretty much owns the east side of North Avenue all the way to the south side of Blake's property behind the bank, except for one easement in there for the ITC power lines, and he farms through that. So he's got the whole shop there.
So what you just read there, that's his new application?
That's the current application that he will have to modify the acreage on. I'm not changing any of the wording, but it says only 2 affected properties. With this change in site plan, it's only 1 affected property, and he'll have to modify the size of the lots.
So, so what did, you read off the four different things, did you filled in the blanks there?
No, that's
No,
that's
he's
all, it's his
reading from the
application
old
from the
one.
last
Oh,
meeting.
the old one, okay.
That is his
All right,
application.
gotcha.
Had to do.
But he's gonna have to say only 1 property is
Okay.
affected, and the acreage is gonna change from 2.97 to,
All right, so he'll turn in a new application.
well, he'll just, 2.9, wait a minute, 2.982.
Okay,
Yeah, and this is, 2.978, so
okay.
it's changed, .004 acres. So all he has to, he doesn't really have to turn in a new one, he just,
Just
I'm
not-
saying in my motion that this will have to be modified to the
Okay.
proper acreage,
Gotcha,
and that it'll have to be changed from only 2 affected properties to 1 affected property,
okay.
making the home in compliance and within variance.
Okay. All right.
There was the motion and support.
Any more discussion?
Anybody?
Patrick?
Yep.
Marie?
Yes.
Joe?
No.
Swack, yes. Getziger?
Yes.
Okay, motion passed.
Can I have your motion, John?
Yep.
Thank you.
That map also the site plan will go along with the record.
Thank you.
I'll get Bob to come in and, I have another copy of that map. I'll have Bob come in and change the acreages and
Okay.
in his own handwriting.
All right, yep.
Okay, that's property. Okay. 2024 Board of Trustee meeting dates. The meeting dates will be called for January 10th, February 14th, March 13th, April 10th, May 8th, June 12th, July 10th, August 14th, September 11th, October 9th, November 13th, and December 11th at 7 p.m. at the Township Hall, 23121 East Main Street.
I'll make a motion to approve the township meeting dates for 2024 as presented and to publish accordingly.
Support. Anybody?
Aye.
All in favor,
All in
say
favor.
aye.
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 I didn't know if somebody was, wanted to question one of the dates or not, so.
I talked to Kylie today. They're gonna move, the board of review. They had a 1 and a 4 session and a 6 to 9, so they're gonna move 6 to 9 on that Wednesday to Monday.
To Monday?
So we don't have to change our date.
Okay. That's next year.
That-
Yeah.
For,
Yeah.
yeah, in a couple months, yeah.
Okay, summer tax collection.
Okay,
Good,
every
right.
year we have a, authorized signing that we, agreement between the school districts that we collect their, taxes for them and disperse accordingly. We also charge each of the districts, we did charge them $1.75 per parcel, according to whatever district they were in. In talking with some other, I got a phone call from a neighboring district, community. They raised their price, they always were $1.75 a parcel for their districts also, and they raised it to $2.50 a parcel. It had been $1.75 for years and years, and Mary, you said we've been that way for forever.
Since we started.
So the consensus was that most of the communities were charging $2.50. One community was charging $4, and that's extreme. but there has been an increase in, you know, the cost of doing business and everything, so this is a minor adjustment. And that's what I'm looking for, is just to increase the per parcel billing to the districts for the residents that pay those school taxes.
Want to make a motion?
Yep, I'll make the motion. to
So the
approve
school will end up paying that, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll make the motion to approve tax agreements for the Macomb Community College, Macomb Intermediate School District, Romeo Community Schools, and our Armada Area School agreements as presented, and to increase per parcel billing from $175 to $250.
I'll support.
So I guess, Murray,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yep.
Joe,
Yes.
Getzinger.
Yes.
Thank you.
9D fiscal year 24-25 budget workshop dates. Mary's put a proposal together for Monday, January 22nd at 7 o'clock, Thursday, February 1st at 7 o'clock, Tuesday, February 13th at 7 o'clock, and Tuesday, March 5th at 7 o'clock.
I'm not available on the Monday, January 22nd.
January 22nd, okay.
Now, typically, isn't, the first one is typically the fire department?
We try and do the fire first. if
I'm
we
thinking,
can.
you know, if we put a new chief in on January 1st, he may want to,
That's
Some
what I
time,
was
yeah.
You
wondering,
wanna soak
too.
in a little
That
bit.
only gives them a couple weeks-ish
Yep.
to get acclimated and,
January, hang on a second. Calendar,
About Tuesday, January 30th.
January 30th. Tuesday, January 30th, okay,
that fit?
30th,
works for me.
okay.
Would that still be, fire
7 p.m.
department, or? Or
I
just
think
kinda
we could
take-
see
play that by
where they're
ear.
at at that point.
Yeah,
Well,
we have
both of them.
we have 4 budget workshops to get them both
Yeah,
in, so.
we'll
Okay.
fit in fire in general, okay.
Okay,
Yep, that's fine.
So the budget workshops will be Tuesday, January 30th at 7 p.m., Thursday, February 1st at 7 p.m., Tuesday, February 13th at 7 p.m., and Tuesday, March 5th at 7 p.m.
I'll support.
There's also a note on here that early voting is from February 17th to February 25th, so that gets us beyond that.
that's my mind.
I need to work around those days, yeah.
For the presidential
Yeah.
primary, she's working around these dates so that it's not a conflict with early voting, so it does stay outside of that. Early voting is from 8:30 to 4:30 on those days, and will be approximately 9 to 10 hours a day for the clerk's office. So that does avoid the early voting.
You need to do that, yeah. Okay,
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Now we have a fire department exemption. This is an annual exemption for healthcare.
right. And we usually always choose the exemption option. And because the board, we may contribute $99,443. The township pays $87,366, but then we do get reimbursed, so we only pay $74,262, so we can use that exemption option.
Below the threshold.
Yep, so I'll make the motion to approve resolution 2023-06 as presented.
Support.
So I guess, Murray,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yep.
Joe,
Yes.
Getzinger?
Yes.
We will set the CDBG public hearing for Wednesday, January 10th, 2024, at our regular meeting at 7 p.m. for those of you wishing to come in and request community development block grant funds.
Yep, that gets posted too for all the nonprofits. Thank you.
Did you make the motion?
Yeah, we have to vote on that,
No, we
right?
don't have to vote on
Oh.
that.
We don't?
Okay.
We're just setting the meeting.
Yep. Election inspector.
wages,
Yep.
please.
Election inspector wages, the state will reimburse us up to $15 an hour. Right now, our current wage is at $12 an hour, and it's hard enough to try and find someone at $12 an hour. I think the $15 an hour will entice them a little bit better. So I'm asking the board to approve, an increase in election inspector wage from $12 an hour to $15 an hour.
Support.
And you said the state is
They're gonna
paying
reimburse
that?
that every year.
Okay.
Yep.
With the 9 days of voting, yeah, you'll be lucky to
need
get,
to.
yeah,
Yeah.
they need to do something.
Yep, and it's gonna, I don't know if anybody knows this, it's gonna cost $10 million a day for the state to have this early voting.
Stupid.
Were you gonna leave the $50 for the chair, the 25?
Yeah, I'm gonna leave the $50 extra
Receiving
for
board.
chair, yeah, I'm gonna leave that the same.
Okay.
So,
Did
but
you
anyways,
make the motion?
well, I just made the
You did
motion
make a
from
motion to
$12
raise
to
it from
15.
12 to 15.
But you're
And I
not
supported
doing
it.
anything with the
Well, I'm just
chair.
gonna, well, okay, let me start all over again. Okay, I'll make a motion, to increase the election inspector wage from $12 to $15 an hour, add an extra $50 for chair, $25 for co-chair, and $25 for receiving board inspectors.
Support.
Let's do that.
Get it all in there.
Okay. Now, does the state reimburse you for chairs and?
All the wages.
All wages are,
wages.
okay,
Yep, yep. Swack, yes, Murray?
yes.
Patrick?
Yep.
Getzinger?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Thank you.
Shoemaker Technology Group, wow, it's a whole lot cheaper than 30 grand or whatever it was, huh?
Yeah, Dawn's been going back and forth with Kyle, and they sent this proposal a while ago, and we just haven't gotten to it. The total setup and design is $1,750. Total hosting expenses is $300 a year. The suggested milestones in order to get it up to the standards that we like would be the client approval to Schumacher Group with 1 month of proposal date. Schumacher Group to supply client with rough mock-ups within 1 month of receiving approval. Client to provide Schumacher Group with feedback on mock-ups with 1 month of receiving them. Final launch within 1 to 2 months of mock-up approval date, assuming client is responsive in providing feedback and answers. So each of these updates we would send to everyone to see if you
Okay.
have any input.
Only question I have is, would this be the time to talk about .gov?
About,
You're going to .gov instead of .org?
oh,
Yeah, wasn't that in here? I'm not seeing that
Um,
here now.
.gov, I don't know if they've had issues with that before.
Oh,
Actually,
right here, yeah. Well, I mean,
What do we have
I mean,
now, Mary?
twp.org is what we have. You want, I mean,
Yeah, no. I
well,
know,
it's
but who's
.gov
our-
is the
their STG.
standard.
government,
That's what we
yeah,
have now.
government
That's what
website.
we have now. We would have to change everything to .gov, like our emails
Well,
and everything.
That's what I'm thinking, if they, because it would stay the same email, the extension would be different, but they could set that up when they do the website
I can ask Kyle.
for us to receive the .gov as in opposed to .org.
Okay.
And apparently there's more levels of
Security,
security.
okay.
we can go
Over
through
my
that.
head.
Now, how much difference is the $75 per hour or whatever for, I mean, what do we pay them for, like, assistance when we're having difficulties?
Usually we don't get charged anything.
Okay,
Kyle hasn't been charging anything.
okay, we like that.
Yeah, no, Dawn's contacted them a couple times with different issues and they really don't charge. We haven't gotten any bills, Dawn, right? Yeah, so,
Okay, I mean, I don't
They're
remember
pretty good
seeing
about
any,
it,
but,
yeah.
okay.
No,
Where are these, where's Schumacher Technology Group from?
Lansing,
Lansing.
Okay. Oh, right there.
yeah, we'll talk to them about the .org. So I'll make a motion to approve $1,750 to update the web sign design and $300 per year for site updates and maintenance as presented.
Oh, second.
Swak, yes, Job,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yep.
Getzinger,
Yes.
Murray?
Yes,
Now we have the amendment to the planning and zoning fee schedule, resolution number 2023-07. If I'm not mistaken, there was a typo on one of the figures, couple of figures.
Yeah, there was 5 line items. And I included that in your packet.
Yep,
We've
they're all
got that.
highlighted on the back.
So we just have to approve the amendment, and then I have to publish it. So I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 202307 as presented and to publish accordingly.
Support.
Okay, I have a question. What were the old rates?
I don't have the old one.
I don't have that
Okay.
in front of
It
me.
was,
Yeah.
we were given that previously,
There was just,
though, I thought.
there was just a addition error
Oh,
that
okay,
Chris said.
Yeah.
okay. Got it.
Marie?
Yes.
Swacky, yes. Patrick?
Yep.
Joe?
Yes.
Getzinger?
Yes.
Fire Department Community Safety Division fee schedule, resolution number 2023-08. Kevin?
Good evening, Chair and members of the board. I spoke to some of you. I apologize, I was out sick last week, so I couldn't get a hold of all of you. Just to provide some basic information, it is industry standard to have fee schedules for things like plan review of new construction or additions or renovation. Just to kind of define it, periodic life safety inspection and the re-inspections that we put no charge. We consider that the businesses are paying taxes in our community. That's our duty to give back and work with the businesses to make sure we're reducing its risk reduction and liability both for them and us as a community and municipality. And we kind of include that within what we provide as a service as part of the taxes, because the businesses are paying a lot of the taxes in this community. The above and beyond fees in here are, we kind of did some research on what other communities charge, what some of the third-party organizations charge, and then we kind of look at our salary and wages and came up with a rate that's fair. It's not going to 100% recoup a lot of our costs, because when you talk about true cost economics, there's a lot that goes into it. If we're using pen and papers to, we're renting the Ricoh copy machine, if we're making copies of stuff, we're paying into all these different things, the copy machine, the printer, the ink, internet and technology in our station to review a lot of the stuff, insurance as far as workman's comp insurance, liability insurance, if we get sued or if someone gets hurt doing an inspection, that could increase that cost annually, the utilities in the station, the gas driving to the site. There is just so much that's involved that you might not think about as far as true costs, and of course wages if we have to send someone on overtime, the cost we have to spend in as a municipality for FICA, Medicare, Social Security, our other benefits other than wages that we'd have to pay for that individual. So we try to recoup some of that for the above and beyond, which are when we're talking about special events or new construction and the renovations. I know there was a question last week about tents. I provided the fire code section, chapter 31 on tents and temporary membrane structures. It kind of defines it in there. We're more looking at commercial, and generally it's involving public gatherings, whether it's the Armada Fair or Blake's is putting on a special event or somewhere else in the community. We're not regulating private homes and residential homes. If someone's having a private party, we don't go there and inspect their tent.
Grad parties, weddings.
Thank
Grad
you.
parties, weddings, that type of stuff. No, we're only, things that are open to the public, that's what we care about. What you do on your private property is not necessarily our concern unless it's violating another ordinance or it's a life safety hazard that's just outright that we have to address.
Too
But
big of a bonfire.
yeah, too big of a bonfire or something like that. Or something that might, like you said, it might be in violation of another ordinance like our open burning ordinance. We aren't here to necessarily regulate residential structures unless there's something critical.
Blatant.
We have a building department for that, and code enforcement would also handle some of those things. So our goal is really, it's commercial structures. And generally the tents, it was defined in there, something that's a larger tent that's gonna be public assembly. We're not looking at the smaller tents that you might have at a
Craft show or
craft show, but we're still gonna like to review the craft show as a whole as a special event, or to make sure those tents aren't, that would be another review to make sure those tents aren't blocking fire department access lanes. And then we would regulate certain cooking tents and stuff like that, and to make sure there's still enough egress where they're putting these tents at. If they're putting them in a gymnasium or something like that, we would regulate that. But generally, we're covering the larger tents, and that's specified in the chapter 31. So that's kind of how we got to those fees. I don't know if there's any other questions at this time.
I appreciate all the work that went into that, cause that's a big job.
And I mean, I know sometimes the fees can seem a little bit larger, but we try to create something that's fair for our business. We still want businesses obviously to come here and invest in Armada Township.
Right.
It's just to help recoup some of those costs, but like I said, the true cost, it's a pretty high number when you think about all the things that go into operating a business or our organization as a whole. So, and plus, we did want to add in some of the fees for inspectors. We want the hourly rate of inspector, but we also want a fee in case we have to reach out to legal. Obviously, there's a cost that's, we now incur if we have to get legal advice on a certain issue, in particular if we have a problem business or commercial structure that may go to the legal route, or we're doing more than that second or third reinspection, working with the business. So we just want to make sure we're recouped for that type of cost. So really, those fees, I don't think they're that large where it's unacceptable or to cover.
No,
I
but
believe they're
and
fair.
as far as the businesses are concerned, I mean, that's the
Cost
cost of doing business.
Yeah, and then,
Yep.
and the other thing is we have never had something in there for the fire department to do a review based on square footage. So essentially, we could be doing a plan review on a shed, charging the same amount of money versus a large, 100,000 square foot facility plus that takes far more time and resources. So we just want to make sure we kind of recoup that cost somehow based on size of structure.
I know we talked a lot about tents already, but if, say an organization, not a business per se, were putting on a craft show, would that still require some sort of, it's a one-day thing? I don't know how that practically would apply.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it is going to be getting that information out there, and hopefully we could do a better job using our social media than internet technology to get the information out that, yeah, we'd like you to apply for a permit. I think the answer to your question would be if it's open to the public. So if it's
So
open to the public, it would be, and we're not in the business of denying anyone. We're neutral. We're here just to make sure that it meets the code. For instance, you might have a structure that's not built for public assembly, and now you're hosting a craft show, so we need to make sure that you have proper exits and
Yeah, I'm wondering
stuff like that.
if somebody did a craft show in the park on the ball fields, is that something you'd be, they'd have to
we
get some
could-
sort of a permit?
If
for
it's
Yeah,
over in a
yeah, we-
certain
we-
area, or is it
It'd be an
over-
event. It's not.
Yeah, I think that would go over the special event. And some of these things we have specified on here for costs. I think the challenging thing is we do also work in the village of Armada, and now we have part of Powell that has the village of Romeo where their building departments kind of oversee it. So it's hard. It's very, I think with Chris Martin in here, we've done a good job of working together, and I like that, but we just need to make sure we have a way of recouping our costs when we don't specify something in a permit. So if we want to discuss a permit for a special event and having a charge, that's kind of, we could put the charge in there in lieu of this. So you could specify, for instance, if it's a nonprofit organization versus for-profit or however you want to do that, that's up to you as a board. But for me, we just need to make sure we review that to make sure, for instance, we have fire department access would probably be the big one as a craft show in the park, and then regulating like food trucks and cooking areas to make sure they have proper fire safety protection for that. So we would like to review that, but so
I'm just thinking of practicality, because I'm guessing they're not gonna have a plan to submit for you to review on where all the tents are going.
yeah, and
you
if
know.
you're talking about a craft show, you're having smaller tents, which generally aren't regulated by
Okay,
the code.
Right, but you just wanna make
Yeah,
sure
but we
there's
would want to make
egress
sure that we
between
have
lanes.
still fire department access, so.
just maybe when they're given approval, that's make
Yeah,
sure you have
for
certain
example,
highways
I
or
know a lot of
something.
times we close down, I know it's a village thing, sometimes when Main Street, I'm just using an example, if Main Street's closed down because we have displays out on Main Street for a certain event, we still, even though there's a barricade, we'd want to make sure, we still need to get fire trucks down the road in case there's a building on fire or an emergency, so we'd have to make sure where they place those tents, I'm using that as an example, don't block, or we still have a dedicated fire department access that we could get down
You
the
get
street.
an ambulance in there.
Or get an ambulance or a fire truck if we had to. So that's really, I think, it may not take as much review process. I think that's one of maybe the challenging parts about special events, because the time to review a large-scale event like the Armada Fair might be more than a small craft show in the park. I think that, so there's a little bit difference there, but, so there'd be a little less involved in doing that. But still something we'd want to review.
Got it, thank you.
And then, could you, Kevin, explain, like, the periodic life safety that you're not charging for? What would be an example of that?
Yeah, so we go and do anywhere from 1 to 2 years to 3 years. We're gonna go in the buildings and we're gonna basically make sure that their fire protection systems are maintained and tested up to date. We now have it in our ordinance where they're supposed to, and we're getting more and more on board with complying, that they have to, it's called IROL, so the companies that come in and test and maintain their systems submit the report online. I could go in there and view these reports pre-fire inspection, and sometimes I get a red flag when there's an issue, when they've come out and there's an issue, and we'll follow up on that, make sure it's fixed. But generally, we're looking at exit signs, egress doors,
Emergency lighting.
emergency lighting. We're gonna look at, electrical outlets. We're gonna make sure for instance, I'll give you an example of a restaurant. Sometimes the fire suppression systems are designed based on if they have fryers here, a flat top in one area, or a grill, and sometimes the restaurants might unknowingly change them around. But if that system was only designed, for instance, one area is specific, those sprinkler heads are specific to deep fryers, now you've moved them, we wanna make sure that either they've now fixed the suppression system, which generally should require now either altercation through this permit process and review, or they've built the system initially to handle where they could interchange certain cooking devices.
Yeah, last time they inspected me, I had to buy 12 batteries for the emergency lighting. The emergency lighting doesn't come on. So when you push the button, it didn't come on. We had to replace the batteries and all the exit signs.
So there
Good
is that.
job.
We worked with different
Yeah,
businesses
that's why we do it, you
to
know.
upgrade life
Yeah.
safety features that really we would have liked to be caught during the plan review process through initial building. But these, as you grow, they're pretty in-depth systems. So we just want to make sure that they're being maintained and they're installed if they're supposed to be installed, and then we'll work with the businesses that way. Egress doors are important, and then storage is a big one. We want to make sure the storage isn't blocking egress routes, they're not storing materials they shouldn't, or they're not having too many chemicals in one area where they shouldn't, that might affect the health and safety of our firefighters and then the occupants inside the structure. So, and we're gonna work with them. And then a lot of structures or businesses are larger to where we wanna work with them on an emergency plan. That would be Blake's or the fair, where we have a written plan that kind of spells out if a large-scale incident happens, what's supposed to happen, pre-listing all their contacts and that type of thing. So we're gonna continue to work with them and update that. So we've worked with businesses to update their emergency contacts, and allows us to kind of get in the business and make sure they haven't changed too much of the outlay. And then we could also help pre-plan and get some of those, and that's why I've submitted what we require in plan review. We want a final copy to be a PDF format, so we could pull it up on our computers. We're investing in technology on the apparatus. Well, now we could hopefully access this, and we could look at a layout and a building plan in the event we're there for a fire. So we could kind of view where are the major hazards, where are the chemicals we need to be worried about. When we get to the large industrial, commercial facilities, we have high voltage electricity. You have large machines that are high voltage electricity, so they don't usually mix with water, so we want to know where they are, and we want to make sure we have proper ways to shut off the power and that type of stuff. So by getting in these businesses, we're making sure they're following the life safety codes, and we're really working with them to reduce the risk of fire or other life safety events. So we're basically doing community risk reduction for us as a community, and then obviously for them as a business. There's a lot that goes into it. We don't want lawsuits. We don't want them to lose business. We don't want a business to go out of business in our township that's paying taxes because of something we could have helped prevented by doing these inspections. And we view that as our duty to the community as part of them paying their taxes.
Yep.
So,
Good enough.
yep.
Thanks, Kevin. Nice
Thanks,
job.
Kevin.
Very
Mayor?
good, thank you.
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 2023-08 as presented and to publish accordingly.
Support.
Go ahead.
Who's got it? Swack, yes. Murray?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yep.
Getzinger?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Thank you.
Fire Department
Thank
Training
you.
Software, Target Solutions, Tom, Captain.
All right, good morning, good evening,
Morning.
everyone. Wow, it's been a long day,
Oh,
a real
no.
long day.
We get it.
I'm off to a great start. As a training officer for Armada Fire, I'm up here, I'm trying to ask to, get permission to spend the money so we can re-up our, Target Solutions, subscription. A little history on it, for the past 4 years, it's been funded by the county training committee. And that was the money they were bought it as a subscription for the entire county. That money was derived from fireworks taxes on fireworks that were supposed to go back to taxing, or go back to training firefighters was the whole idea of legalizing them. And that's how it trickled down, is every county in Michigan, or most counties in Michigan, have a training committee that operates under the chiefs committee for the county. And that's how we disseminate that that money into different training. Like I said, 4 years ago, they decided they wanted to bring Target Solutions in. It's been a great system. Absolutely pivotal in our training program. But this year, the county training committee decided not to. It ate up about 50% of the county's budget, just paying for that for everybody. And the idea of that committee is to bring in trainings that no department in Macomb County could fiscally host. You know, it's bigger stuff. It's I think a few years ago they did a flashover trainer for every firefighter in Macomb County. That's the idea what those funds are used for, and they decided that if these departments want to keep using this, they need to essentially pick up the tab now if we want to continue using it. As I provided all the board members, I use it every day in my position. All the shift commanders are in there about 3 times a day. We are able to capture just an astronomical amount of training with it. We just had our ISO a month ago, or the guy came through to do the review, and training's a big portion of that. So my job was pretty simple. I went through and ran a report from the dates he wanted and handed him a big old sheet of papers, and that was done. But what it allows us to do is allows us to stay, as we keep trying to maintain more compliance with NFPA 1401, 1410, and even into 1500, it allows us to record that. And on top of that, it also has a sizable amount of training classes that are already, for lack of a better term, built. They're multimedia training classes I can kick out to keep up with our. Yep, they're credited through the state for our continuing education credits for everybody who has a medical licensure that they got to keep up. I mean, the best way I can put it is if I had to bring the guys in, stand in front of them, teach all these classes every year, it would probably be close to more than double what this cost.
More than $2,500.
It allows them to do their training, or they can do their training on shift. They can do it at their leisure at home. They can.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great.
And it allows us to record things that we were never recording before in the past because it just makes it that much more convenient. I go in and open up the site, and there's 2 quick buttons that first thing I do in the morning is I log our shift change meeting. There's a half hour of for the trade-off
mandatory.
meeting in the morning.
Okay.
There's a half hour of training for everybody involved there. And then I log my shift's air pack checks in the morning. There's another 15 minutes. Then if any of the guys work out during the day, they go ahead and log that. You can get up to, NFPA says you can get up to 30 minutes for that. And then whatever they've been assigned on top of the EMS training or the company trainings, we can actually build classes in it. And myself and Firefighter Heath have started kicking out our company level training, which would be like the guys on shift working. Their classes or the assignments will go to each of the shift commanders, and they're responsible to take their guys outside and train them on that subject. So we're getting consistency where we're capturing just more training than we ever have in our history, and doing it at a cheaper price than bringing guys in, paying 25 guys $17.50 an hour to plus an
Wow.
instructor and.
So very efficient.
So I mean, it's efficient. It's
Today's technology.
Yeah, exactly. It's
It's neat.
There's,
built a better mousetrap. There's, like I said, there's departments around us that are. I know Washington Township is. I spoke with them. They're going to be re-upping theirs because it just got so ingrained in their training culture that they just can't afford to get rid of it.
right. Well, it's kind of a no-brainer.
Well, exactly. I mean, I didn't want to say it, but
Leave it to
no,
me.
what it does is like I said, it pays for itself.
Right.
It tracks everything. We don't have issues with guys not having enough CEs on their licensure. I think
Right.
once they in 2 years they have almost double what they need to re-up their license at 3 years with what we're allowed to kick out there. They get a new class every 2 weeks. They get a new EMS class, and then we're doing 2 company trainings a month. Plus, we're still doing in-person trainings at least once a month for to get the department together with a paid on-call and part-time. So we're all working together
That's
on that.
incredible.
It's a
And then on
really
top
good
of what the guys go to.
cost,
outside.
you're getting a lot,
it's-
you know, and there's
Exactly.
definitely, there is money in the education budget for it. That was my
Yep.
Well,
We were a
thing I
little,
looked at, and-
we were a little, that's what, Fire Marshal Canal came to me, he's like, you know, we're paying for this. I was like, we got our bid on it, and it's great, we were actually able to jump on because we have all the, we have everything in there, we've been trained on it, so it's more or less just pay the subscription per guy and away we go.
right.
well, I'd make a motion to approve Target Solutions Learning LLC Agreement Schedule A in the amount of $2,672.
I'll support. All right, go ahead.
Marie?
Very
Yes.
cool.
Swike, yes. Joe?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yep.
Getzinger?
Yes.
All right, thank you very much.
Thanks, Tom.
No, thank you,
Sarah.
Captain. Here we go, Macomb County Roads. We got this surprise correspondence from,
Yeah,
the
now we're in
county?
the bridge business.
what's that?
Now we're in the bridge business.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and keep in mind, I already know that in 2025, they're looking at a $1.9 million rebuild of the 33-mile bridge.
Wow.
And we're gonna be on the hook for the community's portion of it, so.
Wow.
Well, just,
Oh, it
Wow.
needs
just to be
done.
clear, that we are not obligated to, they're not tying our hands to pay.
But they can.
In this case, there's a significant amount of federal funding, and our with our cost share, I would say it's, it would be, I have no issues with approving this, but if we get a significant bill, just like we did on Powell Road, Romeo is the one who wanted to improve Powell Road. I didn't support the township paying for that at the time, and I just want to be clear to the rest of the board that we don't have to pay. The project may not go, that would be our decision, that would be the risk if we, but that's important to know.
I
It's
think what
the
they-
township gets the
what
or
they
the
said is
county
they'll
gets our
finance-
money.
What they said is they'll finance it, because when they talked about the bridge on 33 Mile Road, which really does need to be replaced for safety and longevity, but
Yeah.
they'll give you a loan.
Not the way I understand it.
Right, so this particular one is just 26,000.
Yeah, I think that it's,
So I was kinda looking at the budget,
I already put an amendment in there. So we have to amend.
North Avenue.
I know,
Between 33.
we've already spent 92% of our maintenance chloride budget.
Yep.
And 100% of the limestone. Now, and when is this again? When does this?
Well, the
no,
Department of
obviously
Roads,
not-
Yeah.
they'll require payment of our share at the time of approval of this agreement.
So that'd be
Oh,
tomorrow.
okay.
That'd be
Right.
tomorrow.
Yep, prior to construction.
Cause if we skip the limestone next year, then we'd pay for it.
Well, or we could make a,
Well, yeah, I was gonna
A
make
batch.
a batch amendment.
yeah,
on it
batch
and
amendment and just
write it down.
put it in there out of our money.
Yep.
Yep,
So,
go ahead.
all right, I make a motion to approve the cost share agreement in the amount of 26,603 for the North Avenue over East Branch of Coon Creek Bridge.
Support.
Where's the
Yes,
money coming
Mark,
from?
I'll do the next motion for that.
Well, I wanna know where it's coming
Yeah,
from
yeah.
before I vote.
Oh, well, I'm just approving the expense right now.
I know.
well,
Yep.
maybe reverse it and approve the amendment, or
Okay,
so-
the batch
Well,
amendment
if she doesn't,
would,
if we don't approve it, then she doesn't have to do it, right?
or
then
maybe,
I don't have to pay it.
then
yeah.
maybe do both at the same time then.
The amendment, the batch amendment would be from maintenance chlorides roads. The previous amount was 14,806. The amended amount would be 40,239 in order to pay for the bridge repairs. That would give that 26.
And we'll put we'll put that money in the maintenance road
Right,
budget
yeah.
line.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm good.
Thank you,
Support.
Swike. Yes, Murray?
Yes.
Getzinger?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yep.
Okay, I'll put that all in one. Thank you.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I came up with the same thing you did, but I didn't know what you came up with, so, but, yeah.
Special meeting to consider candidates for fire chief.
I'd need to get a feeling from the board on when we would like chief to start, a new chief to start.
Well, we're a long way from that, because even though, like when the committee meets, because we were gonna meet tomorrow, that got canceled.
Due
Wait,
to
what?
illness.
We still have
Just
to have,
one of the committee
yeah.
members is sick, so.
Oh, okay.
but the last few chiefs have had to go through psych evals, physical, like fitness evals and all of that. We want to do the same thing. So to have a
Yeah, so
fire
re-
chief,
You're right. Realistically, there's a time between if we make an offer and it's accepted and through that
Right.
testing.
yeah.
Re-
and they
Really, this is
accept
only
it.
on the
That's it, right,
agenda
yeah.
in case if the board is prepared to schedule a special meeting or has dates in mind, or we can wait until the fire chief committee sends a formal recommendation, and then we could do it. I just thought it might be good to discuss dates now.
Do we
or get
have,
a feeling from the board on.
Do we have, release agreements and stuff already to hand out to them, so they have to pre-approve all that background check and psych evals? You need their permission to do that.
What I would say, I don't remember what we did last time. My
I thought
assumption
that
is
was
when we
part of
made the
their
offer, we
app-
would provide
Yeah,
that.
we had there were two candidates, and both of them had signed release forms on their background checks and psych evals, and then we sent them off both to psych
And then
eval
we-
and did the background checks, and we had Pfeiffer Investigations do the background check, and forgot who did the psych eval, but
Yeah, nope, we haven't done any.
Yeah, well, in my opinion,
Yeah.
we would only send it to the one, and
Mm-hmm.
if that checks out, we
Well, they'll
would
still
not
need
need to
to-
send it to the other.
before you can make him a candidate, you'll have to make sure that he, would agree to that and sign the
Right.
proper paperwork.
We did ask, I'm pretty sure we asked that question during the interview.
But,
I thought that was part of, I thought that was part of the
I think-
application, like, when they applied, that was all part of it.
well, they have to sign an agreement.
Okay,
It has to be a
so-
signed
Yeah,
agreement.
it
Okay.
has to be,
What,
I would
I
imagine it
guess
has to be in
as
writing.
far as I'm
Yeah,
concerned,
that's-
I'm
I
not
think there's
gonna
this form that they give
provide
you.
that signed agreement until we make them an offer, then it'll be contingent on them.
Well, what
Allowing
if he
a
says
background check.
no? What if they don't decide, "Nah, I'm not gonna do a psych eval for fitness"?
Well, then they wouldn't get the job, but I think if the,
Well, you don't want to make him an offer before he
No.
goes through the psych eval, that's for sure,
So we'll hold off on this for right now.
or the background check.
so the
to
board,
get
the
that
board
done.
is saying that they want who to fill out a background check? Who, tell me.
Well, you're saying,
All the applicants, just the two, one, three?
Well-
How many
Well,
would
we
you
have
like?
to they have to agree that they're gonna do a background check and a psych eval.
we had two.
So that we
We
can
came
go-
down to two candidates. We sent
Yeah.
them both out for background checks and psych evals,
So like what you guys did
and then
last time.
re-interviewed after that.
Right.
So
Oh,
if you
I-
have two or
There you go.
three, you'd send them all out, and the guy you might think is right might have something on his record. I don't know. I'm saying that in assumption. I'm not saying that as but you
They
won't know that.
probably don't, but we have to be careful.
Well, that's
Yeah,
what you have to do.
we can still set the meeting. Set
Uh,
for
I'm
the
sure I can
fire
get
chief.
To me, there's no defined process. If the board is directing the fire committee to require the certain number of applicants to fill out a background check before any offer is made, I would like there to be some direction, because in my opinion, the fire committee should make a recommendation to the board. The board should, author or make an offer to an applicant, either whoever it is. It doesn't have to
How
be
can
who
you
the
make
board.
the offer without a
Yeah,
background
you,
check?
how do you make an offer? if you-
Contingent on passing a background check.
Oh, there you go.
Okay,
Psych
so-
eval,
It just
a
seems
psych eval,
inefficient
and
to send an
background
offer,
check.
request
Hypothetically,
3 or
You're
10
gonna
applicants. to-
make an offer to candidate A, and they sign off and whatever, and then something comes back on either the background check or a psych eval, and you're like, yeah, I
Then
don't know.
they'd be
So now
gone.
we're taking more time, now we're gonna do this to candidate B, candidate B signs off, does it.
They should do that.
That's part of the process.
Yeah, but look at how much time you're wasting.
How did you guys do that?
We had two
The last
candidates.
time.
We narrowed it down to 2 candidates, and both of them went out for background and psych evals. And then we got that back, and then we made our choice.
We
and
sent
brought it
3
down
applicants
forward.
through MCO, who obviously did assessment testing.
Right.
Uh,
Sent them out for psych eval
Yeah.
So,
background.
so
Because
if
otherwise,
the,
it's a huge waste of time for
well,
everybody.
to me, it's a huge waste of time for the applicants if you're not planning on offering the position. You're only gonna offer it to one.
Yeah, but how do you know
we
that
don't
you're
know
gonna
what
Okay,
offer?
well then, if you could provide me with a standard form
I can,
to,
yeah, I can get the form from, our attorneys drafted it up and both of our candidates filled it out and signed it, and then we sent them off to the necessary facilities to do it, and they did. That's,
I guess that's what Armada Township does, that's what we'll do.
that's what we did. Twice, you know, we did
Yeah.
it the first time too.
Otherwise, I think it's a huge waste of time offering A and then
Yeah.
B and then C or whatever you come up with, or,
So do you want to, I'll get your, I'll email that to you tomorrow?
Okay. Then
And
we
then you
will,
guys
then we'll
can-
hold off on the meeting until we
Yeah.
Well,
hear
you're
back
gonna have
from.
You'll
to-
get it
You're gonna have to
tomorrow.
call a
We could-
meeting and, you know, give them the paperwork, get them to sign it.
I don't think we need to have a meeting for them to sign the
No,
paperwork.
I think we could
They
just
could
send
sign
it
it
to 'em.
electronically, and they
Yeah.
could scan it and return it.
Right.
So we'll just
Hold on.
clarify, we'll send it to the 3 applicants that we sent to MCO?
Yep.
Okay.
okay, so then this 9M is no longer in,
Yes, no action.
Well, once,
Postpone.
once those are received,
Postpone.
we will meet as a committee. You know, once the results are received, we'll meet as a committee
Then
and,
you'll all have the information, all 3 of them, and then you'll make your choice
and
from
then
there.
we'll send a recommendation, and then we'll worry about a meeting at that point. Okay.
Yep.
okay.
Building Department Skilled Trades registration fee. That was one of the skilled trades was charged, we've been charging $30, came in and said that it was not legal for us through the state of Michigan to charge more than $15 for registration renewal for mechanical and plumbing licenses. So Chris wants to make a motion to change or to designate a $15 registration fee for mechanical and plumbing licenses, for renewals of mechanical and plumbing licenses. And
I
that's,
agree.
and that complies with the
The
state compiled laws and verified, the information was verified.
I'll make that motion to designate registration fees for mechanical, plumbing, and electrical to $15 to comply with state law.
I'll second.
All right.
Swack, yes? Murray?
Yes,
Patrick?
Yep.
Joe?
Yes.
Getzinger?
Yes.
Trustee Joe?
Nope, I'm good. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Trustee Getzinger?
Nothing, thank you.
Treasurer Murray?
I don't have anything extra either, and I will also want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas.
Yep, same thing, Merry Christmas, and have a Happy New Year, safe New Year.
Ditto. Have a great holiday. No, thank everybody for participating. It's nice to see the room full of people. Have a great and safe holiday. Enjoy your time with the family. Motion to adjourn at 8:33.
I will second that.
All in favor?